Well, good day, everybody. It's the 11th of September. Gee, what a day, huh? What a day in history. It's about 1 o'clock here in on my part of Minsk here. I'm right now near a school, I guess, over here, and then of course there's a good-sized children's playground. Well, as you notice, there's always a lot of things for kids to do in Belarus. So, just like in Russia, but yet Putin is kidnapping kids. I don't know. This stuff is so ridiculous, and this fake narratives that they come up with. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of you probably, because a lot of you are aware. A lot of you that are on my channel, you know how this stuff is just. I don't know. I guess to me it's like sickening. I think they were saying Lukashenko was doing the same thing now. I can't remember, but he was mentioning something about that, about kids, and then actually these people over here, Russia, Belarus, they have a deep love for children, and it's obviously not the case in the United States. And I don't know. That's not the point of this video. I wasn't going to be getting into all of the things that they're doing to children and taking your children away from you if you don't do what the state tells you to do. But yet this is a dictatorship, and over there it's not. And in effect, it's like I think the beginning in the Soviet Union, I think the whole thing was that your children, I guess, belonged to the state in the Soviet Union, I guess, at that time. But of course those days are gone, and you're responsible for your kids. But it looks like in the collective West, particularly the United States, the state owns your children. You have to do with your children what they want you to do. It's not what should be done. Your children get an education and have a childhood. But anyway, that's not really the point of this. I should give a shout out to all of the new subscribers. I have one subscriber I have to talk about, because there's another guy that makes videos, and he's got his channel is like Bustagut, or the Silly Stupid Poop, I think, is another one. And he's an extremely talented guy. He's a brilliant comedian, very talented, and very hardworking. You can see that in his videos. And he's so funny. I think he's beyond Jim Carrey, to be honest with you. A lot of people like the slapstick kind of things of Jim Carrey, but this guy, he's like, I don't even know how to describe him, because he does everything. He puts so much into his videos, and it's like, for the most part, I believe he's just a one-man show doing a lot of these things. He's like a stuntman on one side. He's like a tremendous actor, but he's like a comedian, and he's got. I'll get more into that, I guess, when I close this video, because I want to put a link and have you watch one of his latest videos. And anyway, he's subscribed, and I'm incredibly honored. His name is Rausman, but when you see him, it's just unbelievable. And his comedy, I guess you can't get any more real than that, because it's real people that he's talking to. He's really doing it on the street, and it's real comedy being made, because he hides a camera and acts real crazy. He probably pushes the limit to what you can allow on YouTube, I think. But anyway, let's go into some of the other news. Actually, the big news, and I just saw that there was a quote put out. I don't know, maybe it was on X or whatever. It was a message put out by Dmitry Medvedev, and he's sort of like the conscience of maybe the background thinking of the Kremlin, I believe. And he's the deputy head of like Security Council, and was in charge of a lot of the procurement of weaponry and all that for Russia during all of this time. And but anyway, some of the things he says, it's like things that you would expect the leadership of a country to say. But Putin doesn't come out and say a lot of this stuff. But Dmitry Medvedev does. I mean, it's the things that you would expect the country to say. But what's going on is Russians traveling to Europe. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to get at. They just put up a whole lot of new restrictions about what Russians have to comply with if they want to travel to the European Union. And I believe, I don't know, does that mean the Belarusians as well? If it doesn't mean it now, it's going to mean that soon. And of course, you can bet that some of these restrictions are going to be expanded, but they're already ridiculous. You know, how to get into this stuff, how I even mention this stuff, because it's so ridiculous that it's like, did I misread that? Am I giving misinformation in some way? I don't like to actually backlight. You know, you can't see me so well, so like talking to a silhouette, so I'll have to carry this camera like this a bit. But obviously, they can't take laptops, they can't take cell phones into the EU, and for the most cases, they can't take any money. They can't take money into the EU. There was a case, at least one, where somebody going through Finland and they took all of his money, all of his cash. And I believe that might be the case for most everybody going into the EU. I mean, Russians. I hear a lot of things, but I don't know what in truth is. You know, like one of the subscribers, when I was hearing, and maybe I got this wrong, like for example, that there was no sunflower cooking oil, and I was thinking that's also in the United States, but I think it was just in the EU, because a lot of that is coming from Russia after these sanctions started. So, but so maybe some of this stuff might be off, but one of the strange things is the Russians can't take cosmetics. They can't take cosmetics to the EU, like no toothpaste, no shampoo. And another thing is toilet paper. They cannot, if you're traveling, for example, I don't know, I've never traveled with toilet paper. I don't think I've ever needed to, or I don't know. But anyway, they're not even allowed to take toilet paper. And I think a lot of this is all just to humiliate Russians. But Dmitry Medvedev, in his tweet or his message, he came out and said it's to make Russians second-class citizens. But of course, it's he also said to make them like dogs, you know. So that would be like third class or lower than citizens. But as you all know, I've said, and I think other people have even said, I don't know if I don't think I originated it, but the Russians are the new Jews, obviously. And there was a report from a Jewish Ukrainian living in the EU, and he was shocked about this. And he gave this whole report, and that's actually one of the main people that I was talking about the information where that comes. I think the person lives in Germany, and he was mentioning how they're dehumanizing Russians. He said that it's a probability, and this guy's a Jew, by the way. He's a Ukrainian Jew, and he said it might turn that sometime in the near future that there's going to be strip searches, that Russians will have to undergo a strip search. You know, women especially. Who knows, maybe in front of other people or groups. But it's like I said, it's to dehumanize. And a lot of what I was mentioning in a lot of other videos, you know, I say a lot of things, and one of the things was, and I don't know, are there people probably saying this? I can imagine so. But it's this reporter mentioned it, and what he was mentioning is this is the Nazification of the EU. And you have actually the Nazification of the entire West, because this is going on in the United States as well, even though it's geographically much further away from Russia, unless you want to talk about the Aleutian Islands or something. What is that? Sarah Palin saying she could see Russia, but I think she was living in Ketchikan or somewhere else, some other part of Alaska where you certainly can't see Russia. You know, that was just you know, some crazy stuff. You know, a lot of crazy things come out of the mouths of a lot of those political people in the West. So, what am I to say? But anyway, it's like I said, it's a Nazification. And I think maybe one way that they are Nazifying is you have these other two main groups that I always mention, this triumvirate. It's the neoliberals and the neoconservatives, and they're not that far away from the neo-Nazis. And so these groups are actually all ganged up now together. And this was a big concerted effort, of course. In case you don't already know, which I'm sure you do, this was to collapse Russia. This was to take over. And like I was mentioning before, when you saw these, now I can't even think of the guy's name. Turn the camera on, my memory goes. Gunter Fehlinger. And he was talking, he came out with a tweet, and then he showed all of his maps. And you see that this was a big plan for quite a long time, because you can't just think up this stuff in one day or 1 week. It takes a lot of research, and we're talking months, if not a year, or years of research, where they have the entire BRICS nations divided, all nations basically. They probably have a map for all countries, where the United States, through NATO, obviously, wants to split up all these countries and make them all smaller. And of course, you split them up and you make them less powerful. And that's why you have things like there's the Caribbean community, there's the African community, and all these countries are kind of joining together because they've realized, a lot of them, that they don't have any power when they're small countries. Weaker economies, you're generally going to have a weaker economy when you get smaller. I mean, Japan is like an anomaly, that it's a small place, but yet they had a lot of economic power, and now they're going for military power, and of course they're on the side of the United States, but makes you wonder if the United States will not even want to balkanize Japan. Obviously, look at Germany. They've already defanged Germany covertly. I'll tell you what, the leadership of Germany are, what do I say? Do I say pro-American, or do I say American? They're just occupying the offices of Germany right now, but they're not for Germany at all. They're masters, massa across the water. Need I say even more about the Baltic states? What about Poland? These people are not for their own country. They're not for their own people. They're for massa. They're for massa. And then it makes you wonder, well, why are they for massa? Technically, they were from these countries, Poland or Lithuania, but yet they do the bidding of their masses across the ocean. And a real reason why, I don't have an answer. You know, they get privilege, they get power, they get everything they want. I think it's mainly because they care about themselves. They care about their own comfort and privilege, and they really don't care about the people of their country. And that's the only thing that I can see. That's the only thing I can think of, was why these people would be doing this. Why would they be traitors to their own country? You know, and first and foremost, they're not just traitors to their own country, they're traitors to humanity. When you are aligning yourself with this ideology, just like this reporter was saying, you know, this is the Nazification of Europe. It's an attempted Nazification of the entire world. And you saw that in the G20, you know, it's over right now, but some of these Western, just talk about the G7 type countries, they wanted to make it all about Ukraine. And India knew that ahead of time, and they said they were very successful in not letting it get turned into an anti-Russia, pro-Ukraine G20 summit, because you have other problems, and creating a narrative of a problem that was from the making of the G7 themselves, particularly the United States, you know, and then outlining the causes of the problem to something else other than what the real causes are. You know, I think India understands that. It's not like everybody is so stupid as some of these G7 countries are. It's just shocking. It is just shocking, as you all know. But anyway, that's mostly what I just was going to talk about today. It's September 11th. Didn't talk about any real news events. Of course, there's some kind of skirmishes down there in Azerbaijan and Armenia. The U.S. is really trying to stir things up down there. And obviously it's the United States, directly the United States, and then Iran. Supposedly Iran sent some troops to their border, and now Iran says, no, we didn't send any troops to the border. What the truth is, and I'll tell you what, they can send all their troops to the border, and it doesn't really matter because it doesn't mean that they've invaded any country. I don't know if they get along with Azerbaijan or Armenia, or which ones they're against. I don't know. I don't know if there's any kind of problem there between any of them. But obviously, this stuff can actually be taken care of a lot very easily. But I don't know if anybody's going to, because if Vladimir Putin tries to get in, the United States is going to, stick a little wrench in the cogs there and try to destroy it and make it look like something that it isn't, and then there won't be any peace. And it's this kind of a wonder that there's actually getting peace established between Iran and Saudi Arabia and Syria and Turkey, possibly. At least the hostilities are down. And I guess there's some more things going on in Syria as well, but there's always something going on there. I haven't heard much of anything about Serbia yet, not for quite some time, so who knows? Who knows what's going on there? A lot of people are talking too that by the year 2025, the US should have a war against China over Taiwan. Who knows? That's a long time away from now. But anyway, another thing, I was just, I don't know. I was going to talk about the guy from YouTube, but let me first close. I tell you what, it's really disturbing, this Nazification process, and this wedge that's going to be driven. It's going to be much worse, apparently, than the Iron Curtain. Very shocking stuff going on. And it really makes you wonder where the lines are going to be drawn. And you're going to see the United States trying to court India, trying to court all these countries, get them on their side to go after Russia. Of course, Russia is just the first goal. Actually, the first goal was supposed to be Belarus, on these grounds that I'm walking on right now. This was supposed to be the first goal, and then Ukraine was supposed to be the second goal, and then it was supposed to be going after Russia. But the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. And of course, since they didn't take care of those first two goals, they wouldn't have been successful with that goal against Russia anyway, I don't think. But like I said, he who digs a hole will surely fall in it. And the United States, I don't really know. I imagine that they're panicking right now, and they're realizing, like some people would disagree with me, that the biggest military power on earth today is Russia. It is not the United States. The United States might have more military, but their weapons are proving to be inferior. And what do you want to talk about? Tactics and strategy and all this other stuff, their plans, to be the masters of the universe. I don't know, it looks like there's a flaw in there. A lot of flaws in there. I wonder what they're thinking right now. But it looks like it's not going to be any appeasement towards Russia. I think they're going to just try to continually getting other countries to jump on the bandwagon, and because I think they're so far, I don't know if you want to call it over their head, they're so up to their eyeballs right now that they can't stop. They're so heavily invested in so many ways in the Ukraine project, even though it's failing. So I don't think they know really what they're going to do. And here we have an election year with Joe Biden, and if you try to get peace, maybe he looks weak, maybe he loses some support from this place or that place. Your guess is as good as mine. But anyway, let's talk about more about this YouTube comedian that I really, really like. I tell you what, if I want to look at whoever I think are the funniest people that I've seen, the best comedians, you look at maybe Jim Carrey or Curly Howard from the Three Stooges, and Charlie Chaplin. These are some of the people that I really admire. Well, there's going to be noise. I was going to walk down this way, but it looks like a garbage truck is going to be making a lot of noise there, so I have to go somewhere else, don't I? But anyway, this guy, I guess his name is Roseman. I'm probably not spelling it right, or maybe other people aren't. Looks like it says Roseman. Row, like row your boat. But I use that watching his videos. Actually, I go sometimes to YouTube, just to kind of check my channel and then I see some kind of a notification, and I always go to his before I check my own because you know, they're not really that short. He's got some situation kind of skits in there. Brilliant stuff, absolutely brilliant stuff. I don't even know how he does this, and it's all on the spot sort of a deal. I remember one, the best one that I liked was one, I think he's asking directions for somewhere, and he keeps getting it wrong. The guy's telling him, you go down over here to highway number 6 or something, and then go to 43, and then to 6, and he just keeps getting it wrong, and the guy, no, you go to I don't know. It's just all classic. The guy's so good and so genius in my opinion. So, but anyway, I'm really honored that the guy subscribed to my site, and I don't know how many followers the guy has. I'm not really looking and say, oh, this guy's got a lot of followers, he must be great. I saw Jackson Hinkle, I think back when he had like 8,000 subscribers about 2 years ago. He was doing it, I think, living with his parents and doing it from his room or something, and now of course he's big and he makes quite a bit of money, and he was on George Galloway the other day, mother of all talk shows, just like Rob Schneider, like I was telling you, who's fabulous. I didn't realize that Rob Schneider is so intelligent. He's so aware of what's going on in the world, and he believes everything that all the rest of us believe. So that comedian Rob Schneider, I don't even know how you can survive, being a right-thinking person in Hollywood. Weird town, I think, is what Mel Gibson said, or Weirdwood. Somebody wrote I think Weirdwood or Hollyweird or something like that. But anyway, yeah, wrote in the comments. I don't know who that was, but anyway, talking about how crazy that is in Hollywood, and I don't see how some of these people survive. I think there was something about even Woody Harrelson. He was talking about, in a very, very funny way, and he was saying that, talking about Russia and Ukraine, he said something like, "You just can't, go and invade some country like Iraq. I mean Afghanistan. I mean Syria. I mean Vietnam. Countries don't do that." He's talking about Russia and Ukraine. So it was pretty funny. There's some really good people in Hollywood too, as you know. And but Rousman, this guy is so funny. Go to his site. I'll try to put a link down at the bottom. Well, be the first comment. I'll try to be the first one to comment on my own site. I hope nobody is too fast for that. And then you can check out some of his videos. He's got all different kinds of comedy. Really, really good stuff. There was one I liked. He was like some woke guy, and he gets people. He is such a great actor that he has people so convinced, and sometimes some of the stuff he does, they're so shocked that they're like speechless. So, but you have to see it for yourself. And like I said, I'll put one up, one of his later ones, and you can. I think he's been doing this for many, many years, but I don't know. I love this guy. There's some people, he should be in Hollywood, and. But anyway, that's about all I have to say. There's a lot of these great guys. Tyler Fisher, if you know who he is, and like I said, Rob Schneider, and then some of my old favorite classics, like I said, Curly Howard, and all this love comedy. But it's I use it as an offset when you see all this stuff going on in the world. And another one I was going to talk about, but I didn't take any notes at all, so I'm just kind of going off my memory right now. But a lot of this stuff, and I'm seeing other videos about this new sickness coming around. That they're obviously going to be doing the shot in the arm sort of a thing again, because that's one of the main goals. And it's not your health, and it's not your well-being. It's not the well-being of society. It's for making money, and everybody knows that. I mean, any of you guys know that are watching this video. It's all about making money. That's what it's all about. Thought I had a partner there, but I turn around. But it's all about making money. That's all it is. And the rich get richer, and they get super rich. Boy, it's kind of sickening, isn't it? And these people with the big money, they're the ones. Like, I should have even mentioned that. I wanted to actually talk about that at some point in time when, because I know this, and I know that a lot of you will probably know this too. But say, for example, Donald Trump, and he had John Bolton in what was his position? Anyway, he gave him a high position. Mike Pence, and I don't know much about Mike Pence. I didn't know much about this guy, but everybody knew about John Bolton. And Trump said something like, "Oh, I wanted to use it as a so I could hear both sides," and and then an unofficial advisor of Donald Trump was, of course, Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson is I don't like to use the word dove, but a hawk. A hawk doesn't even describe John Bolton. It's a lot of these guys, they've never seen a war they didn't like, and they just like violence and hatred. Not any different than the neo-Nazis and the neoliberals, the neoconservatives. Power, control, that's what it's all about. For them, power, control, and then they get wealth, all of that stuff. Like I said, it's all part of the same coin. Power, wealth, opposite sides. Control may as well be power. It's the same thing. But anyway, how it really works, and I know this. Don't even ask me how I know this, but I've been around this stuff, and I've even heard people talking like this. And you all know that because you heard this telephone conversation with Victoria Nuland deciding on who's going to be the Prime Minister of Ukraine. So it's not decided by whoever the head of state is. Like, for example, this position that John Bolton got, Donald Trump did not decide on him. I'll tell you what, Donald Trump, he's not going to take his own money out of the bank and run for president. Most of that money is going to be coming from donors, and the big donors, they give him money, and there's a big promise, and it's how it works this way with Obama or anybody is, you put up a whole bunch of money, and then you get to decide on who that they choose for certain members of their cabinet. It doesn't come from Donald Trump. It comes from whoever gave him that big money. And you find out maybe who his biggest donors are. And that's probably the ones who decided who gets to become the, I don't know. Bolton might have been just an advisor of some sort. Maybe his chief advisor, but God forbid, Anyway, but that's how it goes. The ones who pick them are the donors, the political donors. So you're not actually voting for the personality of the person who is becoming, say, the president or the head of the governor or whatever. You're voting for their donors. And like I was saying also about COVID and things like that, you see who the big rich people were back then, and they're still the rich people now. And then there's a I was going to actually look something up. We had some visitor coming, and I couldn't look it up, but I was meaning to look up. There's some document, or was it a document? Anyways, from quite a while ago. It was around the time, like 2020, and there was a person who used to be a high executive in the World Health Organization, and he was talking about that he was referring to a document, and I don't think he put that document up. Of course, he didn't probably have that, but what it was is mentioning that that there was an agreement, and this was to do with the media, and it included like Twitter and YouTube, which Google, of course, and all of these major networks, and they create the story, and that everybody has to go with that story. Everybody has to go with this narrative and have to support certain things, and any deviation from that will be censored, canceled. So that's how that works. I was going to make a reference to that person and maybe to that article that I read that from him, and I didn't get around to it. His name was Koenig, I believe, because there's other people's name Koenig. Can't remember his first name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Keep wanting to say Walter Koenig, but I think that's one of the actors in Star Trek. So, but anyhow, again, I'm going back to this guy from YouTube. So I wanted to end with that, and like I was saying, I like to watch his videos because then it takes your mind off of the real crap that goes on in the world, with the shot in the arm and with this upcoming event, and a lot of people are saying, well, I'm not going to comply. Well, guess what? You don't have any choice. That's one reason why I'm in Belarus, because I knew that there was going to be a second one when Bill Gates is saying, well, there's going to be some more. And you don't even have to think that Bill Gates has a crystal ball. But luckily, they had the decency to tell us that there's more coming. So let me walk out of the shade. I'm probably too dark. There's more on the way. So that's about how that is. And so this isn't over yet. And then you have, like I said, I came to this country mainly because it's one of the rare countries that I have been looking at. And trust me, I was looking around for well over a year. I was sitting there. I knew that the country that I was in was gone. They're big patsies of the World Economic Forum. They do everything that they're told, everything nasty. You know, they didn't come up with the lockdowns, and I guess obviously there was some sort of an agreement that he will do this and that, the leader, instead of having the lockdowns, because the country would have collapsed immediately with lockdowns. So because the economy is so very bad, and it's at least 40% unemployment. You know, I was making decent money there. Didn't really want to leave just yet, but I knew that I had to leave at some time. I wanted to leave some years later. I wanted to build up more savings and also have a place to live, have it ready and waiting here, but I had to get out earlier, you know, because at that time it was right before the Omicron really was coming, and they were threatening that you can't go to a supermarket unless you've been got the shot in the arm, and you can't fly, you can't leave the country, you can't do anything. And I was you know, pushed the panic button and said, dang, I gotta make some decisions really fast here. And there's still some decisions right now. I've got some assets, gold. I got some little bit of gold in Germany, and the big question is, how do you get it? You know, how do you get it here? I don't really want the coins. For one thing, they would seize the coins. They're already seizing the things that come from, say, Russia or Belarus going into the European Union. And I've known that they, like, for example, you try to mail something here, the mail, it doesn't show up. And everybody's talking about that it gets stolen in Poland. So you send anything, it's going to get stolen in Poland. It just doesn't get here. It doesn't come here. You send something out of Belarus, the post is very good here. Very good, very honorable. It always gets sent. But when you're sending anything through there, forget it. You know, the whole thing is bad. I'll tell you, it's just like France. I know people in France, it doesn't matter if it has anything to do with Russia or Belarus. The French postal system is so completely bad that I know people there that they said they've never even had a package either arrive or get sent, arrive to them or to arrive to the party that they sent it to. It's never worked in years. So figure that one out. I guess you're lucky if you're living in France and your packages have arrived. What is there? Every truck has to go this way. I don't understand. What's going on? Look at this old thing here. So anyway, like I said, I'll try to remember to put a link in the comments section about this comedian. You might like that type of comedy too. Maybe you don't, but I love it. I think the guy is brilliant, hardworking, and funny as anything. I find him funnier than Jim Carrey. So anyway, you just got to pay attention. I can't say more about the guy because I really love that guy. Okay, well, that's about it. And I did tell you it was September 11th, and I hope it's going to be a little bit of a better note if you watch some of this guy's videos on a day that all sorts of crap happened. So yeah, then thank you very much for joining me, and well, whenever the next one's going to come about, I'll catch you then. Thanks again. So bye-bye.